March is here, and right now it seems that people are hyped off the return of the streaming series Severance. One of the few good offerings available on Apple Plus that features a novel twist on office culture and the feeling of being trapped and exploited by your job. But if you don't feel like shelling out that monthly fee to Apple, I've got some unique films that showcase mind-numbing, soul-crushing bureaucratic jobs to recommend to you. The first is a darkly comedic look at telemarketing and giving yourself over to corporate greed that's full of biting satirical commentary. The second is a 90s throwback about temp workers trying to survive office drudgery with their sanity intact by banding together. The third is a surreal, visually stunning journey of a dream auditor in a near-distant future where even your dreams are text. Welcome to Watch Assignment, the show where we help you in an endeavoring search for what to watch. And this month we're offering up 3 movie suggestions that depict some pretty bad jobs that are instantly available to watch this month on Plex and Tubi. I'm your curator, Mr. Streamface, and here's what we got for March 2025. Now, we've all had terrible jobs that we wanted to sever ourselves from. And these 3 movies are not just about the bad jobs. They're about the ways we can lose a piece of ourselves in the jobs. But they also show ways that we can break free of the hold the jobs have over us. These films tackle the soul-crushing reality of work, but also show resilience, rebellion, and the fight to reclaim your own life. Our first pick focuses on a struggling telemarketer, learning that success comes at a seriously bizarre cost. It's a creative, over-the-top wild ride, but at its core, it's about refusing to sell out your soul for a paycheck. Our second pick is a quieter, more grounded look at temp workers stuck in a thankless office grind in the 90s. These women find strength in friendship, and how in dull, oppressive workplaces solidarity can be powerful. And the third pick is an imaginative tale that takes place in a world where even dreams are text, and how a dream auditor fights to reclaim his own mind. Together, these movies aren't just about awful jobs, they're about pushing past them, standing up, and reclaiming yourself and the value of your labor and your dreams. Our first pick is the electrifying satire Sorry to Bother You from 2018, and directed by Boots Riley. Meet Cassius Green. He's having hard times, struggling financially in Oakland, where he finds a job as a telemarketer because they'll hire anyone. At first he's having difficulty with the job, until he discovers a secret to success, using a white voice on calls. Suddenly he's skyrocketing up the corporate ladder, landing a spot in the elite power caller ranks. But as he climbs higher, he begins to cut ties with his friends and damages his relationship with his artist girlfriend Detroit. Soon Cassius finds these social sacrifices to make it big leave him surrounded by people he can't trust. And when he stumbles upon a sinister conspiracy that's way more disturbing than just workplace exploitation, he realizes he needs his friends to fight against it. Sorry to Bother You is one of my favorite movies, and I just really enjoy the way it exaggerates the real-world issues of corporate greed, racism, and labor exploitation into this wildly vivid and inventive comedy. Director Boots Riley blends sharp social commentary with a highly stylized world full of bright colors, surreal set pieces, and moments that literally defy reality, like the visually creative way they show the concept of telemarketers interrupting people in the least desirable moment, with Cassius literally busting in on the people he calls. And there's a host of great performances throughout. Lakeith Stanfield brings a relatable energy as Cassius Green, who starts off as a broke, insecure guy just trying to make ends meet. But as he rises up the corporate ladder, you see the weight of his choices sink in, and Lakeith plays that internal struggle perfectly. He effortlessly delivers deadpan humor, spirals into chaos, or navigates the film's most insane moments. And then there's Tessa Thompson as Detroit, Cassius's artist-activist girlfriend, who also acts as his moral compass. Tessa gives Detroit this magnetic confidence. She's bold, brilliant, and rocking the best statement earrings you've ever seen. But to get by as an artist, we discover she also has a white voice that she has to put on. But there's so many more talented folks here, like Stephen Yeun, Danny Glover, Kate Berlant, Terry Crews, and some recognizable voices. This movie tackles capitalism and racism in such a wildly creative way. Instead of just telling us corporations are exploitative, it's shown in the most extreme, surreal ways possible. From how the media co-ops an act of protest into a racist Halloween costume, to the way Cassius's ultra-rich colleagues make him perform for them, this movie takes real-world issues and turns it into satirical concepts that are both shocking and hilarious. For me, it's one of the sharpest takedowns of toxic work culture ever put on screen. It dives deep into the idea that success in the corporate world often means sacrificing everything, your solidarity, your morality, and eventually even yourself. Cassius starts out like so many of us, just trying to survive, starting off broke and desperate to get ahead. But when he discovers the power of his white voice and starts climbing the ranks, he leaves his struggling coworkers behind, which is exactly what companies want, to turn workers against each other, to reward personal success over collective strength. The higher Cassius climbs, the more he sees how the corporate machine dehumanizes people. His friends are organizing for better wages, but instead of standing with them, he's being lured deeper into the ruthless world of the power callers, where loyalty is bought and ethics are optional. The more he plays by their rules, the more he loses himself. By the time he realizes what he's become, he's in way too deep. This movie provides great insight into what it's like to feel trapped between surviving and doing what's right, and showing that it's never too late to take a stand. But don't take my word for it, let's see how Sorry to Bother You is rated and reviewed. It has a 3.7 on Letterboxd with users saying, "It's okay man, bother me all you want," aka The Wolf of White Street, aka The Socialist Network. IMDb has it at 6.9, nice. And it's at 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. Our second pick is nearly 30 years old, but its themes are still relevant in Clockwatchers, from 1997 and directed by Jill Sprecher. We're introduced to the world of temp workers, the office ghosts who come in, do the work no one else wants, and they get tossed aside when they're no longer needed. We meet Iris, played by the always fantastic Toni Collette. She's the newest temp at a dull corporate office where she falls in with 3 other temps, played by Parker Posey, Lisa Kudrow, and Alana Ubach. And together they form a fragile support system against the petty office politics, passive-aggressive bosses, and the looming fear of being replaced at any moment. But when personal belongings start mysteriously disappearing around the office, paranoia takes over, and suddenly these women become the prime suspects, which causes their bond to fragment. Unlike the over-the-top satire of Sorry to Bother You, Clockwatchers is quiet in its critique of work culture. The film naturally captures the feeling of being treated as disposable, of having no real identity beyond your ID badge, and realizing that office loyalty is a joke when the company sees you as nothing more than a seat filler. And the fantastic performances of stars before they broke out make this such a hidden gem. Toni Collette is excellent as Iris, someone who's constantly observing but never quite fitting in. You feel her awkwardness, her hesitation, and her slow realization of how suffocating office culture can become. Then there's Lisa Kudrow as Paula, the bubbly wannabe actress who tries to make the office a little more fun until the temp life starts breaking her spirit too. But the real standout is Parker Posey as Margaret. You might recognize her from the current season of White Lotus, but here, she steals the film as a bold, take-no-BS temp who refuses to be treated like an invisible worker bee and tries to stay one step ahead of the office culture. She's the one who rallies the group, pushes back against the corporate nonsense, and gives this film its rebellious spark. She shows an effortless mix of charisma and frustration, but as the company starts cracking down and turning the women against each other, even Margaret starts to lose that fire. That's what makes this movie so sharp. At first, these temps find solidarity in each other. They're stuck in the same disposable job, and their friendship is the only thing making the grind bearable. But then as things start going missing, management starts planting doubts, and suddenly, instead of standing together, they're watching each other. Suspicion replaces trust, and the support system starts to crumble. It's an all-too-real portrayal of how companies manipulate workers and keep them just insecure enough that they won't band together for better conditions. But don't take my word for it, let's see how Clockwatchers is rated and reviewed. It has a 3.6 on Letterboxd with users saying, Parker Posey's charisma, nerve, talent, and charm completely off the charts in this movie. Also, work sucks, and HR is not your friend. Capitalism is actually hell. Girls own the void. Parker Posey is the forever it girl. IMDb has it at 6.6, and it's at 87% on Rotten Tomatoes. The last pick is the whimsical indie gem Strawberry Mansion, from 2021 and directed by Kentucker Audley and Albert Burney. We follow James Preble, a lonely government agent in a not-so-distant future where even your dreams are taxed. That's right, say if a random buffalo appears in your dream, you'll be taxed for that fantasy element. And Preble's job is auditing people's dreams to make sure that they paid up. He's a buttoned-up, emotionless bureaucrat just going through the motions. But everything changes when he meets Arabella, an eccentric older woman living in a bright, overgrown house outside the system. Instead of filing her dream taxes like everyone else, she's been recording her dreams on old VHS tapes, full of wonder, nostalgia, and freedom. As Preble starts watching them, he becomes bizarrely entranced by her dreams, with his own perception of reality beginning to unravel, and she lets him in on a secret that makes him question his own dreams. Unlike the cubicles of Clockwatchers or the telemarketing madness of Sorry to Bother You, Strawberry Mansion's story showcases a bad job that is not just oppressive in itself, it's also enforcing a societal oppression, where the message seemingly says if you dream too big, it'll cost you. The movie shows what happens when capitalism doesn't just own your waking hours, but your imagination too, with Preble learning that he might not even be in control of his own dreams. Beneath all the whimsy is a story about breaking free from control, and as Preble watches Bella's vibrant, untouched dreams, something inside of him wakes up. Combine that with the secret she reveals, and it has him rethinking everything, including his job. He's now dreaming in a way that he's never dreamt before, and when he finds himself in serious danger, Bella's dream recordings become more than just a window into another life. They become his only escape route. But like all good dreams, they can be intoxicating, and Preble must fight the urge to stay in his dreams, or wake up to the dystopian hell, and spread Bella's message so everyone else can realize their dreams too. The most magical thing about Strawberry Mansion is its inventive individuals. They execute the concept of dream logic perfectly, with the surreal handmade beauty of humanoid creatures, DIY costumes, and quirky stop motion. We're also introduced to the cutest turtle I've ever seen. The dream sequences in this feel like they were stitched together from a lost otherworldly fairy tale that would make Michelle Gondry proud. This movie has the kind of visual storytelling that reminds you how limitless indie filmmaking can be, and is a perfect example of how creativity can be an act of rebellion. In a world where even your dreams are being commodified, Bella's refusal to comply gives Preble a new way to see reality, a way to break free, and the ability to help others do the same. But don't take my word for it, let's see how Strawberry Mansion is rated and reviewed. It has a 3.5 on Letterboxd with users saying, "This is quite literally what I want movies to look and feel like all the time. Wacky, batshit, stunningly sincere. Wasn't a fan of everything, but it's got the kind of unbridled creativity in movies in general could use more of." IMDb has it at 6.4, and it's also 87% on Rotten Tomatoes. So you have your watch assignment for the month. The links for watching these films on Tubi are in the description below, so you have no excuse not to check them out. Unless you were watching this video at a later date, and then who knows if they're still available. After you finish your assignment, or if you've already seen these films, leave a comment below with your thoughts or ratings of the movies, and consider subscribing to see what free picks we'll have next month. Until then, happy streaming!